also did an occultation with another asteroid called Patroclus. And NASA wanted that particular asteroid track. They wanted it basically crosses in front of a star. And when it crosses in front of the star,
he is just amazing on so many different levels. We are proud to welcome at this time the one and only Tim Russ.
How is everybody? Glad to be here.
Oh my gosh, we're so excited. This is, oh my gosh, such an honor. Tim, wow. When we were kind of going through our notes and we're like, where do we even begin? And so we're like, okay, we feel like we just have to start with your, to put it lightly, your gorgeous, beautiful, soulful voice. I mean, your voice is like unreal. Where did that soul come from? And what were some of your musical influences growing up?
Well, when I started playing, it was over 45 years ago. I was only 16 at the time, and I started performing in what was initially a rock band. It would have been a heavy rock band back in the day. This would have been in the mid to early 60s. And then I went into more of a R&B band type thing at that time as well, with the full horn section and all that good stuff. Nice. And then went from there to folk rock, which would have been just solo acoustic guitar, because that kind of took over in the 70s and mid and late. And then from there, I took a break and then came back and ended up doing top 40, 4 or 5 nights a week, supporting myself when I moved to Los Angeles. So, and then from there off on into some original stuff, and then the band that I have now and the stuff that I'm playing now. So it was a really long, because I've had to play in all these different genres, and a lot of the heavy lifting vocally was done when I was playing as a vocal soloist, acoustic guitarist, and singer-songwriter kind of thing. That's when I got the most of the workout for vocally for me, and then after that I just kept doing it. So the influences early on with the super groups of the 60s and 70s would have been everyone from Chicago to Santana to Hendrix to Sly and the Family Stone to, a lot of these bands that were pretty big at the time. And in recent years, Peter Gabriel and Bruce Hornsby. Those are one of my 2 favorites as well as influences go. And there's a bunch of little ones in between, but those are some of the main ones for me.
Gorgeous. And was anyone else in your family musical, or was this something that you picked up on your own?
Yeah, my brother plays drums. He's been playing since he was 14, I think. 13 or 14, he started playing drums very early. And my mother used to sing in a choir, professional choir, when she was younger. So yeah, there's some music in the family.
That's awesome. Yeah, your voice is just so, like, your tone is so unique. It's like when we were like going through and listening to a lot of your music, I mean, like, your voice, I highly recommend, if you haven't heard any of Tim's stuff, maybe you only know, maybe you know Tim the actor, but get to know Tim the musician, because it is
big time,
pretty incredible.
Thank you.
Of course.
So we're going to pivot. This is going to be the episode of pivot. So, because there's just too many things that we need to cover. So we're going to jump to the fact that you are a very, and I have to use the pun because it's just so cute, you're a very well-versed Shakespearean actor, as I would say, and make no apologies for that. And the fact that you've taken on so many various roles of just the things that we can uncover. So we wanted to dive a little more into that. Most specifically wondering what has been the most challenging role, what's been your favorite role, and we'll dive deeper as well.
Right. I think the most challenging role actually was Romeo and Juliet, which is Shakespeare. It was a live performance that was done here in Los Angeles. I was doing it under the director Michael Rabian at the time, and what he basically did was he was able to get access to the CBS Radford backlot, which is here in Los Angeles. So it's a major motion picture studio backlot, and it's a neighborhood. So we did the play outside, and it was modern. It was done as a sort of a modern sort of feel. So the clothing is modern, more or less. and we had motorcycles for the other family.
Sweet.
And we had to play each scene in these different areas of the studio lot, and the audience would follow us around for each scene. So you would walk to the next location, and then you'd see the
promenade
scene.
theater.
Yeah. And so Romeo and Juliet, the balcony scene, was played on the back porch of one of the houses. And we have the scene, Queen Mab's speech that I had to play as Mercutio, was played in a convertible 56 Cadillac, sitting in the back seat on just hanging out with the guys. And one of the scenes I did while playing basketball was just shooting hoops at a basketball court. And we did
so cool.
So it was really, really amazing. The challenge was, of course, that because it was outdoors and you had a crowd of people, that you had to constantly project loud enough for everybody to hear you because you're outdoors. And you would have had to deal with, whatever other noises would have come through, sirens and helicopters and whatever it might be. But so that was the toughest part. It was just physically challenging because you couldn't do any, if I wanted to do something more subtle with what I was saying, it was almost impossible to do that because nobody would hear it. So it was physically very, very demanding. It was a lot of fun. It was very interesting, and it was very different to portray the classic that way, but it was physically very demanding to do that.
As if like Shakespeare isn't already difficult enough to have to speak a certain way. They're like, give him a basketball. But that sounds really fun. And I appreciate the modern twist. That sounded really cool.
Yeah. So kind of a follow-up there. Do you have any dream Shakespearean roles that you've yet to play that you have always wanted to but haven't had the opportunity yet, or any productions that maybe you would be interested in directing?
Well, I would, I haven't had a chance to direct a theater in a really, really long time, and I wouldn't mind having the opportunity to direct again. And I have played in a number of classics, but the majority of work that I have done on stage has been thus far as either comedy or straight drama. As far as actual shows, I do love musicals, and I would love to get back into a musical show production of some type. At some point in time. I don't know when that's going to happen, but I'm always keeping my ear to the ground as for a possibility of getting into a show that's, with a decent role in a musical, because I enjoy it. Obviously, it's combining acting and music together. So that's kind of where I would enjoy getting back on stage more so now than anything else, is a contemporary musical of some type.
Do you have any dream roles in any musicals?
Well, I'd love to work in Hadestown. That's all I'm going to be out touring.
Wouldn't we all?
Love to get a chance to that. And of course, Jesus Christ Superstar. Wouldn't mind playing in that one as well. Either Simon or Judas. If I had a chance for Judas. Judas is a demanding role, but I wouldn't mind going for either one of those two. Yeah.
Jesus Christ Superstar is my #1 favorite musical of all time. I'm obsessed. I want to be Mary so bad. And it's funny that you mentioned that because Danica, she's a professor in North Carolina at her university. And when she was asked what she wanted to direct next year, you pitched Hadestown, which I guess the rights aren't. Yeah.
Right, yeah. The rights are not available.
It's not available yet. It's a brand new show. So eventually it will be, of course. But yes, I have to agree. Superstar has always been one of my favorites. Just something about it. I remember when the film came out, it was the 1970s, early 70s, and it just blew me away. I was just amazed. And I've always enjoyed that show. I've always enjoyed the music, and I've enjoyed the way the story is portrayed. It's just beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, big time. Yay. Okay. A fellow Jesus Christ Superstar lover. Love it. Now, something that we like to ask is, do you have any theater superstitions? Is there anything like you're in a theater, you're like, I'm not whistling, I'm not saying the Scottish play. Do you follow any of those?
Nope. None whatsoever. If it's time for the show to go on, typically individually, I take a deep breath and just sort of focus on what I have to do, try to get in the zone. And, some of the productions I've been in, they may right up to the wire, they may have seemed somewhat chaotic, but they always manage to pull together just before the curtain. So, for myself, no, absolutely no superstitions, because they're superstitions, I don't particularly adhere to all that.
Okay, very fair.
Yeah.
So this is a kind of a left fielder kind of question, but I don't know if you have an opinion on this, but we're curious if you do have an opinion on the birther theory. So the idea that Shakespeare isn't really Shakespeare, that he's not the guy that wrote all those works. It was instead Francis Bacon, Edward de Vere, Chris Marlowe, William Stanley.
No, I believe that Shakespeare was probably a handle. I believe he was actually an insider in the royal family. I think he was a noble because he knows a lot about the inner workings of nobility. And you can't get that from being a peasant outside the castle walls. I think he was an insider, and he uses Shakespeare as a handle. That was just a handle for him because he can't give away who he is, writing all that stuff about the people he was writing about.
You'd get big time in trouble.
Big time. Yes, I'm sure he is a great storyteller, but I'm sure he borrowed from real, actual experience. I mean, the politics couldn't be any more tumultuous than they are now. The politics had to be absolutely insane. The interfamily sort of squabbles and fighting and people trying to get this and power struggles between. Come on, man. Back then, even more so than now. So I can't imagine why he would not have incorporated that into his plays. And he just has that. He has that insight that I think you can only have by being on the inside. So I don't know exactly who it was. No, I don't. I don't have any theories on who it was, but I do believe it was somebody who was a nobleman, somebody who was educated and on the inside. Definitely.
You are not alone.
So sneaky. All right, that's Shakespeare. Yeah. And Tim, you did briefly mention that you in the past have had the opportunity to direct theater. Was there any particular shows that you enjoyed directing?
Well, at the time I was directing, it was as far back as college. When I was in college. I directed a couple of shows there. So it's been a really, really long time. I've been doing mostly film and television, film stuff in the last 20, 23, 24 years. So I haven't been able to get back on stage. Hell, just to get on stage as an actor is, quite the task these days. Just to have the opportunity and the block of time to do so. It's a constant tug of war being here in the city because I work professionally as an actor on film and television because that's how I've made my living. And, I pay my medical and all this other good stuff by working. So I can't do that if I'm doing a show. And so the slot for me to be able to get on stage or anything associated with stage is really, really difficult. Because it's a block of time that's required. You've got rehearsal and you've got the actual performance block and all this good stuff. And I can't go on tour in a show right now. Perhaps later on I can, but again, I'm not retired yet from film and television, so I have to be available for work, and work comes in. It's an email or a phone call or whatever, and it's completely unpredictable. So it's very difficult. I could do a show here in town on stage, you can get away with it for the most part. Probably they'll have an understudy for me for the performances, and they would hopefully be somewhat flexible with me as far as rehearsals go and things like that. I've done it. I mean, I did one about 2 or 3 years ago. Here in town. It was a 1-act play, and I had a pretty heavy role in it, and that worked out fine. There was I think 3 or 4 days of rehearsal, and maybe 2 or 3 performances. Yeah, so there you go.
Yeah, give me a heart attack.
Very
flexible. So brief.
Yeah, very flexible. Yeah. And that's the way I'd have to do it if I do it again.
Yeah, there's just not enough hours in the day. I understand.
No, and it's just that it's the nature of the work. It's so unpredictable at this point. If I was doing a series, a regular role in a series that was picked up for a season or 2 or 3 or whatever, then I could take the hiatus from that and maybe do a show or something like that, and know that I don't have to worry about anything else. I could do that in that scenario, but that's not the scenario that I'm in right now.
Let me know when you do take your next hiatus, and then I'll bring you out to North Carolina, and you can be in one of my shows.
There you go.
I'll do Superstar just for you.
Oh my goodness, that would be fun.
What a dream.
Yeah, go ahead,
Danica.
Mentioned film, so I think it's only fitting that we move into this wonderful. I believe we could just call it a trailer that we've got.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So if you want to play the trailer now. So you recently directed a film which actually stars your daughter, which we find really, really cool. So we're going to play the trailer for Slayer Chronicles, and then we have a couple questions to ask after, if that's all right.
Very good. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Let's roll that footage.
I walk between two worlds, the mundane and the spiritual. My life didn't start out this way. I was once a normal, everyday girl, until one day, everything changed.
First of all, that looks horrifying, and I can't wait.
Yes, that's so exciting. So I have to know, what was the process like getting to work with your daughter?
Well, at the time, the producer wanted to put her in that film, and because she had worked with her in a previous project called Junkie, which is also out on Amazon. It's a pretty cool drama. I had a trailer for that as well. I could have sent it, but in the meantime, that feature, she appeared in that. So the producer wanted to put her in this film as well, which was one of her own. She basically wrote it herself and produced it herself.
Wow.
And since she wanted to put my daughter in, initially I was not slated to direct it. I just said, look, I'd like to do it if she's going to be in it as the lead. I'd like to make sure that I was on camera. I was behind camera for her, to direct her. And she's feisty and probably not the easiest person to work for, but she's tough. She has a mind of her own. And but she was, she brought it. She showed up. She had her stuff ready. She did all the fight sequences and stunts herself.
Nice.
And so it was all very cool. I didn't, again, I'm just there as getting this thing on camera, and it's a very low budget independent film. It's not, it's just whatever they could put together to make it happen. And I knew these people because I worked with them before. The previous project had a bigger budget and was a little bit more extensive, but this one was just done sort of on a lark. And, my daughter wanted to, showcase piece for herself. So I said, yeah, sure, we'll go do it. And that's what turned out, It was shot in Sacramento. It's not, either all of the actors in there are not, working actors out of Los Angeles. Some of them are locally based there. So a lot of them, it was their first chance to be on screen and that kind of thing. So that's what this was, more or less.
That's fantastic. Totally. Yeah, it looks really cool. And I have to say, like, Danica and I especially are very drawn to this type of genre. Mm-hmm. So obviously, your daughter aside, is there a type of genre that you like to direct, or do you kind of just see how you're feeling in that moment?
No, well, I have a number of different types of pieces that I've shot already. I was hoping to get a Western on the reel earlier on this year, but the guy that was contacting me about shooting it passed away. So
oh, that's unfortunate.
yeah. And I was supposed to shoot a Western project 2 or 3 years ago. That one, the funding didn't come through, but that's one of the genres I'd like to get on my reel. I've got a piece from the Middle Ages, which is dealing with knights and all that good stuff. I've got a piece for that I've shot, which is a extended short film and a trailer, pilot presentation. I've got sci-fi, and I've got drama. So, and I've got comedy, more or less like a rom-com style. So I've got all of those styles, and now supernatural thriller. So I've got I enjoy any genre that I could, as far as genres go, that comes across my table. I'd love to do them. The only pieces that I just turned down an opportunity to shoot something or to be attached to it, which was it was a drama, a comedy. It was supposed to be a comedy, and it was it takes place in Staten Island, in New York, and it was a comedy about that's kind of been, the concept's kind of been done, where the adult switches places with the child switches places with the adult. Okay. Adult becomes a child becomes the adult. And it's based on a mob family. And I just thought, well, it was much too close to a cultural sort of type story, culturally, and also based on that part of New York and the city. I have no experience, bringing that kind of story to life as a director, from a cultural standpoint. It wasn't just a general genre. Science fiction's a general genre. Supernatural thrillers, can take place anywhere on the planet and you can get away with it. Action, shoot 'em up, chase, Western, things like that. Those are all genres that you can get into and not have to worry about, any particular cultural aspect. That film was very culture specific. And it's like reading a foreign language for me. So I wasn't right for it. I told him, I said I could do it, but I'm not really right for this job. You need to get somebody who's got that background, either culturally and or, regionally, from that area, who knows that sort of groove and of that part of New York and things like that. You need somebody who's got that background.
I think it's pretty cool what you said, though, about like sci-fi. It's essentially the sky is the limit, So when it comes to directing something like that, when it's something that can just be created, essentially, that has to be pretty neat getting to.
100%. I mean, I didn't, I'll send you the links to the stuff that I've done. They're all trailers. You can look at them. They're snippets of all these pieces, and you'll see what, the range of it. A drama can be shot anywhere and almost any time. The time period doesn't really matter as much if it's just a drama and it's got a basic dramatic theme to it, and the relationships and whatever happens. Mysteries, same thing. Action is action. If it's karate kicking and fighting and chasing and running and shooting and whatever, we all know that stuff. We all know the genre. Science fiction, the Westerns, we all know what those kind of look and feel like, and that's not complicated stuff. It's, so yeah, anything in that realm, and particularly science fiction, yes. Sci-fi can go anywhere, literally can go anywhere. And, it tends to be my favorite genre as a consumer. I love watching and reading science fiction. As a genre in general. I always have and probably always will, because it is unlimited in terms of storytelling. And to me, it's important. What's important is the storytelling, Preferably a story that I haven't seen before would be something I would watch. Right. Something I haven't thought about before. How about that? So that's where I live as far as trying to get sci-fi stuff or enjoying sci-fi stuff or working on it. I've worked on a number of sci-fi pieces, so I enjoy them.
Awesome.
Very cool.
Well, Danica, why don't you ask one more question and then we'll go into our game?
Oh, sure. Okay. So, let us actually ask, I want to dive a little bit into your apparent love for astronomy.
Yes. Yeah.
And where did that begin?
It started, maybe 30 years ago, 30, 33, 34 years ago. I just decided one day that I was going to buy a telescope and go out into the skies and take a look at objects and things. And I did. And I was just a lark. There wasn't anybody who tried to get me into it. It was just something I decided to pursue on my own. So I went out and bought a small telescope and just started looking at the sky, and basically learning the sky. And at the time, because they didn't have computerized telescopes that you could just pick up off the shelf like they do now. So I did have to learn the sky. Everything was done manually, and the planets and the moon and things like that. And I was just fascinated by it, and I just ended up, scaling up the size of telescopes, of course, over the years, and just
an expensive hobby.
It could be expensive, but if you're just doing backyard sort of planets and the moon and things like that, not so much. You can get telescopes for $200-300 that'll do a whole lot of stuff, and a couple of eyepieces and accessories. You're done. It's not that bad. It's yes, you can spend a lot of money, but you can also spend not so much money, and you can see quite a bit for not so much money. So yeah, I did. I pursued it, and now I'm at the point where I'm an ambassador for a specific type of telescope. So I demonstrate it from time to time. I work with them promotionally. I do a lot of imaging with it. It is a consumer telescope, but it's pretty high end as far as the price goes. But it is absolutely amazing and really easy to use. So we get off, I'll send you I can send you the images. Some of them I posted thus far on Twitter and Facebook. I do image the stuff and I do put it on there. And I'm able to work with NASA actually on some of their asteroid work. This telescope allows you to download the data that you collect. And in some cases, you share that data with NASA, and they can actually use it for their own purposes.
That's so cool.
We did an asteroid. Basically, I tracked an asteroid recently. It was a near-Earth asteroid called Nearus, and also did an occultation with another asteroid called Patroclus. And NASA wanted that particular asteroid track. They wanted it basically crosses in front of a star, and when it crosses in front of the star, the light that's blocked from the star creates a wave pattern, and that wave pattern of light they can analyze that and tell what shape the asteroid is. And so we who have these telescopes can all do it at the same time, because it happened to be passing right over Los Angeles. The shadow was over LA, so I could just go down the street and put the scope up, and it was about a 4-minute process, not very hard. I got it and then sent the data to NASA. They're able to do it. It's part of their Lucy mission. They have a Lucy mission, which is a space probe that's going to that asteroid. It's on its way to that asteroid right now. And it's going to fly right by that asteroid, but they'll have an idea of the shape of the asteroid before that probe gets there, because of what we do with this particular telescope. So,
I mean, I will admit, I am so embarrassed by my lack of understanding of astronomy, especially because my small brag is that my father took astronomy from Carl Sagan and didn't pass any of that knowledge down to me. So thanks a lot, Dad. But
oh yeah, well, this is not that difficult. Seriously, this setup and the method by which I was doing what I was doing mechanically. Not hard at all. This is very, very easy because of the design of the instrument. It's brand new technology. It's only going to get better. It works off your an app on your phone, which is your phone's GPS. It uses all that. It aligns itself. The missions are on the phone. Like this particular mission was on the phone. All I have to do is tap it in and set up the scope. Make sure it's pointed in the right place, and then adios amigos, and then send the data to via email. The scope has a Wi-Fi built in, so your phone is connected to the telescope by Wi-Fi. You download the information from the scope on Wi-Fi. It's sent to NASA via the internet. They get back to you and send you the videotape. I can send you the videotape when we get off.
Technology's insane. It's blowing my mind. Out of curiosity, Tim, because you did mention the name of the asteroids, who comes up with those names? Because they're always so
name asteroids.
Yeah.
That's a very good question. If it's a comet and it's discovered by somebody, it's the name of the person that discovered it. The asteroids, not so much. I don't. Those are given. That's a Greek name. It's a classical name. Patroclus was a brother. It's a Roman. It's from Greek mythology, or is it Roman? Nope, Roman mythology. So it's one of two brothers. I forgot the other brother's name, but Patroclus is one of them. So I think it might have been given by either the Space Agency or the National Aeronautics. I'm not sure who actually does it. Somebody gives them all these funky names for the objects. They also have a numeric designation, so which is not as interesting. But yeah, it's only, you only get your name on it if you discover it. So if you discover a comet, in particular a comet, you can get your name on it.
Oh, I'll have to get on that.
Yeah, I know. Okay, before we get into the game, a couple people are wondering. Obviously, now people are having the opportunity to visit space. Is that something you would want to consider doing, going to space yourself?
Well, yeah. I mean, if I've got $500,000 to $1 million laying around,
wouldn't that be nice?
I'm more than happy to blow it on going around in orbit. I'd love to go in orbit. That would be fabulous. That would be amazing, as a matter of fact. Why not? Again, if somebody offered me a free ride or I had the money to do it, I'd certainly do it. Sure, absolutely.
I think most of us would.
Yeah. What a better.
I think I'd be pretty scared.
Yeah, it's. I'm sure it's not going to be. Sure, you're going to have a little rumbly tumbly going on.
Yeah, just say the least.
But what the hell? If anything went wrong, it's one way to go out, man.
Yeah, right.
It is one way for sure. Well, okay, Tim. So we have a game. This is a game of Would You Rather. There is no wrong answers. Whatever answer you pick is the correct answer. So we're going to get started. Danica, do you want to read the very first one?
Of course. Okay. Would you rather be in a Julie Taymor adaptation of a Shakespearean play, or go back in time and attend an original play at the Globe?
Oh my. I would have to say I would love to go back and actually be at the Globe Theater, only because I have to wonder exactly what that show would have been like. I don't think it would have been quiet and orderly like it is, like they are today.
Oh, it was dirty and loud and gross.
Yes, noisy craziness going on back then. It must have been wild. So it would be fascinating to go back and do something like that. But I have to honestly say that what I do like is classics that are done in an alternate style and a modern style. So I gotta say that would also be something I would enjoy a great deal, is doing a Shakespearean piece that's done not in the classical style, but in the modern style. Modern sets, modern costumes, modern everything. Yeah, I've actually done one like that. I did Barabbas, which was a classical piece here in Los Angeles years ago, and the director was just amazing. It was just, he did a wonderful job of directing it. Steinvinge was his name, and we did it totally, and I say in a modern sense, but it was, a contemporary sense. So the dungeon was basically the belly of a sewer system, you know what I mean? Where Barabbas is being held prisoner. It looks like the scaffolding and pipes and all kinds of industrial stuff coming through. And that was the prison, and the Pontius Pilate had a white tuxedo jacket with a gold breastplate on under it, and it tucks.
Oh.
It was the coolest thing in the world.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That sounds cool.
Very cool. All right, here's our next one. This one's a little more on the silly side, Tim.
Right.
Okay. So before every one of your performances, would you rather have to eat a ghost pepper or drink 5 glasses of milk?
Oh, I'll do the 5 glasses of milk.
Okay.
Because I like milk. I drink it all the time. Not so crazy about burning and scalding my mouth to pieces. No, thank you.
You don't want to not feel your tongue.
Yeah, I don't want to not. Yeah, I don't want to start sweating and tearing up and my nose running and all that good stuff before coming on stage. No, thank you.
Okay, milk it is. Calcium, good for your bones. So I love it. All right.
All right. Next one is: would you rather own a BB King original guitar or own an original Chuck Berry guitar?
That's a good question. Chuck was playing, I think it was back then, he might have been playing a Guild semi hollow body acoustic. I don't know if he was playing Gibson. I think it was a Guild. Chuck BB King played a Gibson 335. I do like the 335 over the other one a little bit, but not by much, because both of them are very similar. And I have to double check and see if Chuck's guitar was. And somebody who's listening or watching, I guess you guys have people that are able to. You can have them Google and see what kind of guitar Chuck Berry played. Yeah, I don't know, because I think it was I want to say it was a Gretsch or Guild, but it could have been a Gibson. I like the Gibson 335, which is BB King's guitar.
Okay, so we want to know what kind of guitar Chuck had.
Yeah, Chuck Berry. What was his favorite? Yeah, what was the guitar he played the most?
All right, guys.
I think it was, because BB came in. He started around the same time that Chuck came, but maybe a little bit later. But he had the same guitar all the time. Lucille was a 335 Gibson. I don't know about Chuck.
Okay. Well, hopefully we can get an answer. We
Yeah.
appreciate y'all looking it up. Okay, so here's the next one. Would you rather act in an adaptation of the first play you ever read, or act in a reboot of the first movie you fell in love with?
Oh, I would probably say the first a reboot of the first movie that I fell in love with.
Which was?
That would be such a nostalgic sort of homage to films. So that would be and I can't honestly remember what the first movie was that I saw, as I would have been just a little pipsqueak at the time. It could have been anything from Wizard of Oz to whatever. I don't remember what the first movie was that I ever saw, to be honest with you.
Okay.
But it's back there in the Wizard of Oz time. You know what I mean? It would have been something along that lines coming up, you know.
Okay, so we're getting Gibson 3S 355, and someone also said Gibson E350T. So we're getting some.
Those are both Gibsons. So both those guitars are basically the same. BB King's is more recent. The 335 is more recent, and the other one that Chuck is playing is an older model. There's just some different slight variations on that model. It's basically an acoustic. It's a semi-hollow body electric is what it is.
Nice.
All right.
Oh, lovely.
Danica, next one.
All right. Would you rather?
This one's silly too, Tim.
Have to wear Vulcan ears every time you go out for dinner, or have to speak in Klingon every time you meet someone new?
Yeah, that's going to be a tricky one. Because I think that if I had to take the choice between the two, I'd probably speak the Klingon, only because otherwise I'm sitting there at dinner with the ears on everywhere I go. So that's probably not going to be the best thing. So I have to speak, I think, in Klingon would be the first one, because it doesn't have to be long. It just has to be a phrase, you know.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. All right. Good choice. All right. We got two more. So, Tim, would you rather write the soundtrack to a video game, or have your likeness used for the main character of a video game?
Oh, that's cool. I would probably say I would prefer to have the likeness used as the main character of a video game. And that's only because I've written a couple of pieces for independent movies here and there, but I don't do that much songwriting. So it would be as an entire soundtrack for a video game, that would take a while for me to be able to do that. So because I don't do as much writing, and it would have to be it would be a score rather than, you know, just a litany of songs. You know, they probably want some score, underscore, and I don't do that much. I don't compose as an arranger. you need an arranger and a composer. So I would say being an actor in the having a character in a video game would be very cool. That would be great.
Agreed.
Yeah.
All right, Danica, last one.
Oh boy, would you rather have Rod Serling narrate your life or have DJ Jazzy Jeff and French Prince rap a recap of your day? I mean, where do you go wrong?
Now that's a good one. That is a really good one. There is a plus and minus on both of those.
Oh boy. Okay.
It's cool. It is because I worked with Will Smith. He's actually a really nice guy. But it would be fun to have them do a jazzy recap of my day for sure. Now you got day on one and you got life on the other. So I think you got to make those even, right? I mean,
so Rod Serling narrating your life. So that would happen, as things are progressively happening. So you would always hear Rod, recapping. And then for the other one, it's just at the end of the day, your day is over. Here they come. They said, Tim, we're rapping for you. It's.
Oh man, I can't. That's going to be too tough because I love Rod Serling. Rod is the best. I would edge it just slightly in favor of Rod, but I gotta say, that it would be a very interesting experience having the rap stuff at the end of the day. To be honest with you, that would be a big fat howl. One's going to be really, really funny. One's going to be very, very strange.
True that.
What if we put them together?
That would be even more strange.
During the day, and the end of that day is then recapped.
Yeah, that's what you do. During the day, it's Rod, and then at the end of the day, it's these guys. Yeah.
Perfect.
There you go. That's the format. Yeah.
Right.
Very cool.
So before we do wrap this up, there's two questions I wanted to get to from the crowd. The first one being that they say that they know that you like dogs and wanted to know if you have a favorite breed of dog.
Yeah, I like generally small dogs. I like the really small dogs, lap dogs, if you will call them. I used to house sit a small Chihuahua, which was just absolutely adorable. I love the Yorkie Terriers, and the smaller the better. And this really small, the tiny small toy poodles, the black ones especially. Just the smallest dogs, preferably hair over fur. So that would be the Yorkie and the poodle have hair rather than fur. And because it's softer and it doesn't shed. But I like the tiny dogs. I like the small ones. Yeah, obviously for practical purposes, in terms of cleanup, in terms of being able to take them someplace or take them anywhere, and nobody cares because they're that small.
That is fair.
Yeah, and they also live longer than large dogs. So
that is true.
So there you go. That's my preference.
There you go. And then the second question, they wanted to know if you have a favorite sci-fi novel.
A favorite? Yeah, I have two. I have two short stories. Well, I have one short story and one novel, which is absolutely two of my favorites. So the very first one is the short story by Stephen King, which is in the book 4 Past Midnight, and it's called The Langoliers.
Oh yeah.
That story is, to me, absolutely amazing. And the other one is Dean Koontz, The Taking. Those that you guys, The Taking. You guys.
Okay.
Write it down.
Taking. It is a page turner. And I do mean page turner. You just keep turning the pages. And it never meanders. The story. You read books where, you go off in chapter 5 on some other tangent and bring in some backstory, some whatever it is, and then you come back to the main story. That does not do this. This is every single chapter leads into the next chapter, leads into the next chapter. There's no breaks. The story is like a bullet, just keeps going. It's like a train, never stops. Everything is critical, and it also does not answer absolutely what happened. It is a combination of sci-fi and horror.
Oh, good.
All right?
Yes.
I'm in.
And it does not give you the answers. You and the main characters are asking the questions. They are asking the question. You're asking the question. Langoliers, Stephen King's Langoliers, a fascinating twist on something that we take for granted every single day, every second of our lives. We take it for granted. We live it, we take it for granted. And he applies one other thing that we are familiar with, and he puts these two concepts together. It is a mystery. It is a mystery. And the main characters are trying to solve the mystery. And each one of them has something to contribute to that mystery. And at the very end, you find out exactly what has been happening. And it's fascinating. It's something you never, ever thought about, but it makes total sense. It makes sense when you stop and think about it. It's very cool. This is what I was saying before about storytelling. You cannot, you just, it challenges everything you know or that you think about on a daily basis. Langoliers is, like I said, it's a short story, 4 past midnight. It's not that long. You know, you'll get through it very quickly. The other one, Kuntz's book's not terribly long, but it's a novel, and it's a really good story. The main character in Kuntz's book is a female. It's a woman and her dog and her, I think he's an ex-boyfriend. Takes place in a small mountain town. And the other one, Langoliers, takes place on a jumbo jet going from LA to New York. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Very excited. Thank you for the recommendation.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
No worries. I think
for anyone who has not heard of it, highly recommend The 3-Body Problem by Cixin Liu.
Oh.
It is a series of 3 novels that are terrifyingly realistic in the sci-fi genre. Highly recommend The 3-Body Problem, everyone. Go.
The 3-Body Problem. All right.
Cixin Liu. Cixinliu. Chinese author.
3-Body.
Translated by his son, I believe.
Wow. And it's a series of 3 books, yeah?
It's so good.
Okay.
It's so good.
I'm always looking for a good one, and they're not easy to find. You know, I've been disappointed more times than I can count with stories. You know,
pretty incredible.
Yeah, you gotta unfurl them. You have to get them going and let them out. And to me, I like finding out what's going to happen. I like the mystery. I like the unusual. You know, challenge me in terms of what can happen and what the possibilities are, and how you view things and how differently you can view things, and concepts that haven't ever been investigated, haven't been tried out yet. So yeah, that's kind of where I live, and I've always been. I'll pitch to you and your viewers, and I'm sure the producers won't mind that. A movie called The Endless. Try that one.
The Endless.
The Endless. It'll be on Amazon, I believe. Very unusual. It's actually a sequel. You don't have to worry about the first one.
Okay.
I only saw this one. I don't need the first one. This one is a standalone. And it's fascinating. I think it's 2 friends or 2 brothers, 2 friends, I think, that wrote it. And they both star in it, and they're very good. And the story is very, very, again, it does not give you all the answers. It doesn't, does not wrap it up in a bow. It's not wrapped up in a bow, but it leaves you wondering, what in the hell was that? You know, and
I love that.
Fascinating.
Oh, yes. And Lou Temple's in it. Okay, cool. I will definitely check this one out.
You know one of the actors in it.
Yeah, Lou Temple. Yes. Well, thank you for all of the recommendations. Now I feel like I have the rest of my week planned, maybe month. I appreciate it so much. Before we let you go, Tim, is there any final thoughts you want to leave us with here today?
No, I mean, other than for everybody out there, whoever's watching, listening, please stay safe. And I hope you get a chance to check out some of the projects we worked, whether it's the books or whether it's the movies that we talked about today. And you can follow me on my webpage is timrusswebpage.com. And I do list my appearances here in Los Angeles with the band, and also sometimes the projects I'm working on, things like that. Also, if I'm attending a convention or something in town, it's all posted there on my webpage.
Awesome.
I do have a Twitter page that's pretty lively. It's not exactly me posting my, playing with a dog or what I had for dinner. It's pretty serious stuff on there. And I'm pretty continuously serious. Once in a while, I'll do a joke. But the Twitter stuff, I've got a Twitter page, and it's under Tim Russ 2, or just under Tim Russ, and that's it. But so yeah, that's all.
Awesome. Well, this has been such a joy. I feel like we got to cover a lot, not nearly enough, but we covered a lot. Thank you so much. And I guess before we do let you go, we're going to go over our upcoming guests that we have coming up from March until April. Oh my gosh, I can't believe this month is coming up so fast. So on Friday, we have comedian Jeff Richards. Following Tuesday, we have Chris T. On Thursday, March 31st, we're welcoming back Phil Moore. On Tuesday, April 1st, we have John Schneider. We also have Gary Puckett coming up, Dee Wallace, David Cook, David Sovolov. We got a lot of good things coming up. So please keep watching. And yeah, like Tim said, please be safe, everybody. Thank you so much again.
Thank you.
We hope to see you real soon. Goodbye,
Will do.
everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye now. Take care.
Bye.